just kind of pushing out a few little things,
Okay.
no landscaping, pushing stuff out.
Over a deck area, so yeah, there's no.
I'd like to call the June 12th, 2025 MBAR consent calendar to order. Questions, Rob?
Well, can we see the site plan? I did make some notes, and so forgive me, Tracy, maybe this, just comments questions that maybe should have come up before. One was the guest parking and the setback. Has that been resolved with transportation?
Well, no, I mean, the only thing we've done is submit to planning for this. We don't know if it's gotten to transportation yet.
The only reason I ask is I get that guest parking shown within the setback. They push back on that, so I just think it's an issue that could affect your final approach. And then I had a question on the so are these supposed to be final plans or? Okay, so then do we need some kind of handrails and stuff on the front steps? And then the only other question I have is on the east elevation. Is it? Oh, sorry. I've done that before. So we got so I kind of was on the style of stone. There's two different styles of stone cut, and then there's not, in my mind, we should at least have a call out of what the stone is, and then like the pattern. Is it like Santa Barbara stone with random ashlar, or is it something, or is it a faux, or what is it?
Are you saying there's two styles now on the house?
Well, I'm seeing there's like a different cut. You got a 5-sided cut, and then you've got what looks like a random ashlar pattern on the.
Oh, and that's
elevation.
just,
So is that just a graphic?
yeah, it's just a hatch, but if we go to the pictures, you'll see that there's something there that we would just match.
Is it real stone or is it a,
I think so.
okay. I didn't see that information ideally would be called out. but-
Really up there in stone country.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I guess I don't have pictures in this set, huh? Sorry.
It's all right. I mean, I'm happy to approve it. I just would kind of make a condition or something on the, or with anything that's, that
And
you're
I didn't
fine
really
with or
address the
something.
handrail because that's an existing.
Okay,
We're not doing anything there.
yeah. And then, so like, can we just agree to some kind of a call out? Is it like a Santa Barbara stone with a random ashlar, or is it something else? Or is it, what is the match? Is it matching Santa Barbara sandstone, or is it is
I
it,
don't know.
okay,
I didn't pay that close attention because I knew we were just going to match what's there.
okay.
Do you have the previous set easily?
I mean, I'm not gonna hold you up on it, I guess,
Got a couple minutes, let's just take a look at it.
so,
Yeah, just take a look at the pictures and maybe we can figure out what it is and get you what you want.
trying to do my job, or maybe beyond my job, I don't know.
It's going to go fast when you need it, is it?
No. I mean, the rest of it looks, real nice, so I'm real fine with everything. I just, some of those details.
You can't just load it from there. Well, my system will permit me to download it, but if they're huge files, the thing gets completely blocked.
That set shouldn't be particularly big.
Oh, a lot of. So I'm fine in the interest of moving it along. I mean, I'm just fine with maybe calling out something you're comfortable with. I just think the idea is, I think those kinds of
So you
details.
mentioned existing, right?
Yeah, that would be the note I would.
Yeah, why don't we just, I'd be good with that. This is a small house, way back, hidden by itself, surrounded, you know,
I just want to, I guess the only thing I'm looking at is that the quality of things like that are commensurate with the rest of where you're going with it. And those kind of details to me matter, but nothing that would want to have you held up in any way or have to come back. Or, I mean, other than send an email out with a note to somebody that we're doing this and then so it's kind of cemented. So, so let's just make some, John, you want to make some kind of a motion, please, and just call it a day or?
okay, so here they are, right? Okay, yeah, I would recommend, since we don't have a vote here, we just recommend. Actually, before that, is there anybody that's attending online like to address the board on item C1, 765 Ashley Road, please?
No hands raised.
Okay, so we're on for preliminary final. I will recommend preliminary final as submitted with the note for the stone to match existing.
To be called, can we have it called out somewhere or when they get to the building department
Yeah,
part of it or something?
For him to add a note, stone to match existing on the drawings.
I was thinking a little bit more of it's Santa Barbara.
Figure out what it is and put on.
Figure out what it is. Yeah, I don't want to leave it. I mean, it may be like rubble and it looks terrible. That's all. I guess was what, I
Of
was,
course, it's only on those two little back.
okay.
It's on that in the.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 2 minutes to absorb everything you've done and
Right.
so I don't necessarily maybe, my comments may be not necessary.
Could it be that you submit a proposal along with a photo for review by the planner in consultation with Rob? And then you guys can get it fine tuned exactly right? Would you be willing to do that? Okay. So to date, they've always accepted our recommendations. If you'd like to stay, it'll be about 10 minutes or so. We have minutes and things like that. Or if you want to go, sayonara, whatever you want to do. Okay?
All right, so yeah, when you get to the main board, that's when it's formally approved.
Yes.
Yes, that's when it's formally approved.
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
Sounds good.
Tracy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Yep.
I'd like to call the June 12th, 2025 Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order. First item is public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on matters not on our agenda today, please?
No requests.
Agenda status report, please. Dave, Ed.
All right, so I'm going to mention that we did receive a request from staff to drop item number 1 from the agenda, which I forwarded that email onto the chair and vice chair. I suspect we're going to have questions about that, so I would prefer that we hold off until we get to the standard agenda to make that motion.
Okay, anything else?
That was it.
Minutes, we have two sets of minutes, the 15th, and we've had trouble with that set of minutes because of quorum. So Watson, Wolf, Fowler, and Kung. Okay, so we have enough people to do this. Does anybody have, Kimberly, have we already gone over these? I don't know.
I believe
Kimberly?
you have, and I did make the corrections from the last round of comments.
You did or did not?
I did. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Does anybody? Okay, so does anybody have any comments? Yeah, of the 15th. Okay, so Kimberly, just to make sure, item number 5, comment number 4, we added divided lights in there, correct?
Correct.
Oh, okay, very good. And then item number 9, please. Okay, those all look correct to me. So, and what about the motion to close up the meeting, please? Okay, excellent. So does anybody else have any further comments on May 15th, 2025?
I had to recuse myself on some item.
No, you were actually at that meeting.
Right.
Okay, so Stacy, you should not vote. Okay, so, and Robert, you should not vote. Tip, are you here? Okay,
Dave.
so I'd like to move for approval of the minutes as amended. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Okay, so only Watson, Wolf, Fowler, and Kung vote. All those in favor, please?
I,
All those opposed. Motion carries unanimously.
With 3
Four,
abstentions.
3 abstentions. Okay, so minutes of May 29th. Does anybody have any comments? This is our last meeting.
so John, I did have I don't know if this is the appropriate time to mention this. I did have a conversation with Scott Capps, landscape architect for the Assad residence, the design arc project. Is now the time to disclose that, or is that? Right.
No, we're on the minutes. Minutes.
The-
Item number 4.
So what the purpose of minutes is to accurately and completely report what happened at the meeting, period. That's all it is.
Well, there's a little bit where there was, at the site visit, there was discussion on, and you and I talked about this, on the approach of preserving the vegetation on the Mountain Drive side of that infinity edge. And so I thought all that kind of went hand in hand. So that's why I'm asking.
Item 3 says provide additional details on landscape screening at pool wall. Is that what?
Is that covered for you?
Or do you want to add some?
I think it, actually, yeah, that's fine for purposes now. And then, and I had enough of a conversation with Scott that he knows what we're expecting for final. So that's fine.
Anybody else, please? I don't have any either, so would somebody would like to make a motion? Tip, you were out at that meeting, so anybody else?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 29th, 2025.
Or second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
With one abstention. Thank you, Kimberly.
My voice was a little hoarse there. Aye, but okay, staff update. Anything, please, Kimberly, David?
Nothing from me.
Nothing for me either.
Okay, item C1, we had, this was 765 Ashley Road. Tracy's actually with us in the audience. Yes, still? Okay, and this is on for preliminary and final. It was very small addition, just a little add-ons. He's buried way back behind the street, away from the street. It's impossible to see this project. And we are on for preliminary final. Rob and I are ready to support this project and ask for that, but before that, is there anybody in the meeting or attending online that would like to address the board on item C1, 765 Ashley Road?
No requests.
Okay, I will move for preliminary and final approval as submitted with the applicant to specify the rock wainscot material and type with the planner in consultation with Rob Fowler. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, carries unanimously. Okay, item C1 was just pulled off the agenda. Item 1, I'm sorry, thank you. 319 Hot Springs Road. So, Nicole, are you there, please?
Yes, Chair and Board, I'm here.
Okay, so, and you are pulling this off because of the Housing Accountability Act?
Yes, our understanding at this point in time is if there's 2 units proposed concurrently as a part of an application or series of or concurrently processed applications, then it would be subject to the Housing Accountability Act, and therefore we'd be prohibited from discretionary review, including Board of Architectural Review. I understand that there's been some questions about how that applies when there was a home on the property previously that was demolished. So we are in the process of looking into that. And if we find that we do need to return with this project for any reason, after we look into that further, we will bring the project back. Our current understanding is that it does qualify as a Housing Accountability Act project and would therefore not be subject to design review.
Does anybody have any questions or comments, please? I do have a question. Do you have something, Bill?
No.
Okay, so Nicole, have you actually read the act personally?
Yes,
The only date I see there is 1982. And my understanding is, and it is unclear, I admit that since 1982, has there ever been a house there that's been counted in the housing supply? If there's some tragedy, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I can't remember if this is a house where somebody's life was lost, but that was already accounted for in the housing supply. And so we need 2 new units, 2 additional units. So if you could take that forward, I'd appreciate that. Since there's only that one date ever in the entire Housing Act. Okay?
yeah, I can confirm we're looking into it, and if we find that this project would be subject to design review, we'll re-agendize it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Pretty visible location.
Oh, yeah, and it's a very tall house, and this is one of the reasons we have design review, but
No, I,
Rolling too.
yeah, I saw enough there that it would be a shame if this was not, and subject to design review, and whereas I think if they had a tragedy there, we'd certainly want to move it along as much as possible, but it's,
So for the purposes of today, I think the motion would be to drop it from the standard agenda. But just because we discussed it, and I would also recommend that we ask for public comment.
It was not on for for preliminary. Is there anybody that wants to address the board on item number 1319 Hot Springs Road, please?
No request.
Who wants to try a motion here? I don't know that, who wants to try a motion here, please?
The motion would be to drop it from the agenda.
Is that a motion, David?
I were voting yes.
I'll make a motion to drop item 1319 Hot Springs Road from today's agenda.
Here,
Yeah.
is there, I mean, is it appropriate to add any additional language that it would be a shame or something along those lines?
No, unfortunately, we could go back and revisit public comment maybe at the beginning of the agenda, since this is no longer on the agenda. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so item number 226 Dawlish Place. Is there anybody here for that? Amy, are you with us? Amy? Anybody else for 226 Dawlish Place, please? Is this going to be a short meeting?
Oh,
Amy? Okay, so let's put that down a little bit. Item number 3830 Rockbridge Road. I'm not sure if I have a conflict, but I'm gonna step aside just because I might.
Okay. Let's go to item 3830 Rockbridge Road. Is there anyone online for that? Appleton? Anybody from Appleton's office?
I'm not seeing anybody. Item number 3.
Okay, let's go to item number 4. I know you do. Let's
I do.
find out if anybody's
I
here.
do too,
I
yeah.
know.
Jennifer's online.
Okay, so item number 4, Jennifer, you here?
I'm here. I am
Nick's
just
here.
trying to reach our architect because I don't think he's here, but we can certainly start.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. We were, let me read the comments.
this is pretty easy.
Study options to increase landscaping. Consider incorporating ground level planters with curbs adjacent to retaining wall or alternate footing design. Consider adding curves to the upper street side retaining wall design if feasible. Consider relocating the HVAC units. So is Nick there yet?
He's coming on right now,
Okay.
but we did address the comments and we added ground level planters. And he showed, I believe he showed the footing design as well. We did not change to add the curves back into the design. So yeah, if you wanna
Next
move down,
page,
yeah,
next
keep
page.
going.
Okay, right, that's it. It's got the project turned around.
Oh yeah, we added that, uh-huh.
So if you could zoom in on the lower right-hand corner.
Oh, there's Nick.
Welcome, Nick. Weird meeting today,
Yes, this was much sooner than I was expecting.
and us as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so your presentation, please go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, hello board. It's good to be back. So we went through the design. We added in a 2-foot planter around an in-ground planter around the base of that lower tier to help soften these retaining walls. We also went in and added a a tree back into that space on the first tier in front of those HVAC units. We looked at the turning radius and the backup, and it does seem to work out really nicely that if we have some lower in-ground planters, it shouldn't affect the maneuverability if we keep the planting low. And it should add a nice border to the motor court itself. We have extensively looked at other locations for the HVAC condensers, and it really is the best place for not causing visual impact and not impacting existing oak trees. We also looked at the curved walls, and just because we aren't the additional like structural and constructability that would need to go into those curved walls, and the fact that we aren't going to be able to see them really from any point, not from the street due to the hedge and the fence, and not really from the motor court due to them being at a raised elevation and also having planting in front of them. We decided to stick with the rectilinear design. And yeah, that's so those are the changes that we've made.
Is that the end of your presentation, please?
Yep.
Questions, Stacy?
No questions.
Rob?
A couple quick, is that actually that wall that's green? Is that parallel to the house, or is that a different angle than the plane of the house? Just kind of wondering.
It's parallel to the house.
Okay, and then, so, and you're showing a car there, and so you didn't, so I think the discussion was adding ground level planters to account for a car overhang, which would have the net effect of softening the wall a little bit more, as opposed to just vine pockets, and your own kind of graphics kind of illustrate that you've kind of already dented the car. So is there a reason why that you folks didn't want to do the ground level planters? Where you could get vines and some little bit softer, meaningful stuff and protect vehicles a little better?
We are showing in-ground planters. I'm sorry if that wasn't clear.
I'm not seeing that. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing that. Then what am I missing? I just see vine pockets.
If we can zoom in slightly.
There's a planter there, which would either have a
Yeah.
curb or a,
Yeah, so
certainly you might have a curb there just to, as a
Might-
wheel stop.
yeah, it might just be graphically, but we were showing this line here. And this
Oh,
line
okay.
here is a 2-foot planting pocket.
Okay, well, that helps. I mean, curb would be that much more effective in terms of protecting the vehicles, but that's, I guess. Okay,
Understood.
thank you.
Yep, questions, please?
No questions.
Robert, questions?
Curious about the planter. Why does it not go all the way through the portico or whatever you want to call it? Does it stop there, or does it go all the way?
It stops there. We have a material transition on the floor. Here we have paving. And this was just an architectural design decision that was made, that we wanted it to feel like you're going through this threshold to get into this second courtyard.
No more questions.
So Nick, to be clear, you drew a red line on the drawings, which I don't see anymore, but what actually, is it just vine pockets, or are you proposing something more there?
Something more. It would be vines and low planting.
And how do you deal with the footings with that, please?
So we've looked at the footings, and we've lowered them slightly to allow for a 18 inches depth. For
18
some-
inches above the footing to the grade?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 935 Mariposa Lane, please?
No requests.
Okay. So we have seen this project twice before. This is our third meeting. What do we want to do with it? Comments, Stacy?
Move to, um, vote for it. I'm okay with it.
Okay, so let me see where we are. We are on for further concepts, so there is no vote. Okay,
We'll move it to
So you like it?
preliminary final. Yeah, I would move it to preliminary final
on
on
consent.
consent.
Okay. Rob, comments, please?
I think you need a curb at that line that you put on the red line. And then actually, if you bank the dirt up a little bit against the wall, then you can gain a little bit more planting depth over the footing, because I know it's a struggle, like making the footing deeper adds cost. So, so that would be a suggestion, but I think it needs at least a 4-inch wide, 6-inch preferably curbing, 6x6 kind of things.
Okay,
Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
Chip, comments, please?
I have no comments on this project.
Robert, comments, please?
I agree with Rob. I think, even though this project is really not visible to anybody that doesn't live there, just for the sake of beauty and function, a curb, preferably cut out of Santa Barbara sandstone, and a bumping up of that dirt another 6 inches or 4 inches would enhance the project. Other than that, I support it, and I think it's good to go.
Can we see the sections? Can you go to the next page down? And can we zoom in on the lower right-hand side? Please. Oh, okay, he's actually showing it there. Okay, and the lower right-hand side, please. Okay. Okay. I have no further comments, so we are not permitted to have a motion today because it's on for concept. It's not agendized properly for a vote. So shall we put this on to consent calendar? Okay, make sure to, I think Rob's comment, Nick, I think Rob's comment about the curb is well taken.
Yep.
It looks to me like you have dropped the footings properly, and I think if you clarified that a little bit, you're good to go. Now,
Right.
do we have species? Was that called out? Anybody? Okay, so
That would be on consent.
it'll be on consent. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so item number 3 just showed up. It's been a,
Number 2 is online.
what?
Number 2 is online as well.
Oh. Number 2 has shown up, so it's been a weird meeting today. Okay, so item number 2, 226 Dollars Place. Amy, are you with us now, please? Amy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, excellent.
I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem, not a problem. Okay, so we have 2 public comment letters, and this is the first time we've reviewed it, so please go ahead, Amy. Floor is yours.
Thank you. The project is at 226 Dollars Place. What happened was in June of last year, the owners were on vacation and the house had caught on fire, and pretty much I went in a couple weeks ago. It's all charred inside, and they would like to rebuild it with an addition. The house is small right now. I mean, it's only the existing square footage is only 752 square feet, and 2 bedrooms. Saying 2 bedrooms is kind of marginal because if when I show you the original plan at the back of the house, somebody did a shed roof off the back, and it has a 7-foot plate height. So the owners would like to rebuild the house. Currently it's board and batten, and they'd like to do the same with steel windows. They would like to do a 1-car garage, and we're already in a modification for a 1-car and a tandem space. Our lot is really limited. We're only 50 feet across, and most of that is going towards the front of the house. We also, if you look at the one property line to the east, our property line is on part of their driveway in the back, our driveway on the side. So we're not even getting the full use of this property. Again, board and batten. Our addition will be most of the addition will be towards the back of the house. We are going to comply with all the setbacks, but again, this is pretty much a rebuild. There's really not a lot to be salvageable in this house. It was a really bad fire. The owners are asking for a three bedroom, 2.5 bath. They're a growing family, and again, like I said, board and batten. Asphalt shingles and a small standing seam roof at the front. There'll be 2 covered porches again in the back of the house. We really tried to limit the size of the house from the street, and I think that is pretty it. And we really want to try to keep the style that's there now, but modify it to they get a bigger house and they rebuild after this horrific fire. I think that's it.
Questions, Dave, please.
No questions.
Robert, please.
No questions.
Bill, please.
Amy, at the end of the day, are you going to have 2 covered car spaces or just one? Can you go back to
Just
that?
one. That's the modification. We're asking for just one covered and one uncovered.
Okay, so the uncovered will be in front of the,
That's correct.
Covered.
Right.
all right. And is that out of the front setback?
It is.
It is. Okay. Thanks. That's it.
Rob. Yeah, Rob.
Hey, Amy, is this I'm not familiar with this neighborhood. Is this a neighborhood where there's kind of on-street parking? You would have visitors come from off-site?
There is off-street parking to a degree. It's a really, if you look at the map, it's kind of just a very, it's at the end of, I think there's a cul-de-sac on the end. It's just a one-way, it's a very small street coming off of a main street, but it would be probably on street, but that's what like I said, that's what we're asking the modification for.
And so when I looked at your elevations and so forth, it looked like you had steps that kind of came towards the street. And it looks like the site plan hasn't been fully developed yet, and then along with that, the front wall that's there, looks kind of a mess. I mean, have you folks talked about kind of creating a pedestrian link to the street and incorporating that in alongside the driveway of some sort?
We haven't gotten that far yet, but that is definitely something we could look into. Not a problem at all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Casey.
Yeah, what are the setbacks? I don't see them depicted on the plans.
Can you zoom into the front bit? The front, there should be one on the front. The left side. Let's see. Well, the side setback is on the right will be 5. We're gonna move the whole house over so that we make the 5 inches. Right now we have 4 feet 5.5 to the property line. Do you see that on the right side?
Yes.
So the whole house will actually be moved over 6 inches so that we make that 6.5 inches. And the front property line is, if you go down, it's from the center of the right of way or from the center of the street. Is that correct?
Is that the front yard setback though? I just see like 61 feet, I believe is what it was depicted at. I mean, that is how you have it set back, but what is the actual setback?
I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you. We went through with Willow and I can't tell you. I don't have that information with me right now.
Okay, I think that's important. Then also to the house to the east of you, how are you screening that?
Right now there, if you look at the if you look at the photos on the second sheet,
Mhm.
there's a huge, there's all kinds of planting between the two houses. There you go, top two pictures, or top middle picture, top middle picture.
It
Right
looks
there,
like the house to the east is higher in elevation.
that is
than-
correct. And
So-
their driveway runs right next to the house, right? So it's our house, a
Yeah.
little bit, a small wall, and then their driveway.
But don't you think you'll be removing all of that vegetation to rebuild the house?
Again, we're going to move the house towards the west. We're not going towards the east.
Yeah, but you only have 5 feet of space between yourself and the property
Well-
line. Even when you move it, don't you think it'll require removing all of that vegetation?
Well, we're at 4'6" now.
Yeah. So to move it 6 more inches, but for construction,
We can have a planting plan at our next. We can have a planting plan at our next meeting. But again, our lot is so constrained. We will definitely do something to as a barrier between the two.
those are my questions.
Tip, questions?
No questions.
And I don't think I have questions. We do have two public I think it's two. I was confused. Okay, yeah, there's one for sure. Okay. We're the Garrison's next door neighbor at the adjoining property on the west side. That's not the side you were asking about.
Correct.
Nori, Francis, and Ralph Tingy. The Garrisons have been excellent neighbors and have been very patient throughout the process. We wholeheartedly approve of their plans to rebuild their burned home. The planned rebuild of approximately 1,005 square feet for the residence and 752 for the garage, a carport, and shed sounds very reasonable to us. It will be a very nice addition to the neighborhood. Okay, so let's see what the next one is. Were there two? Yeah, there was one that was kind of like a bad photocopy. So maybe there's only one. Okay. Anybody else like to address the board on item number 226 Dawlish Place, please?
No additional requests.
Okay, so it sounds like they're going for modification, at least one. And we are on for concept today. Comments, same order. Dave, please.
I guess I would ask the planner what findings need to be made to support the modification of the parking.
Willow, are you with us?
Willow is not online.
Okay. So we need a better description of what the modification request is.
I think so, yeah. I'm fine with the project. It seems consistent with what's there and single story. And if they're moving it to comply with the side yard setback, then I think I can support all
Mr. Chair,
that. But I'm not sure about the findings that we need to make for modification for the parking.
Kimberly?
So if you'd like, the findings for the modification are that the modification is in the interest of better design.
No, exactly which one it is. Which modifications are being requested?
Oh, I apologize. I believe it's a modification to reduce the number of covered parking spaces. And it looks like they're proposing a tandem parking configuration.
And no guest parking.
Correct, and reducing one of the parking spaces or allowing a tandem configuration for the guest parking.
Okay, so could that be more clearly described? Have Willow write that in a memo to us next time?
Absolutely.
Anything else, Dave?
I guess, just to be clear, are they rebuilding the whole house or just moving it? It's unclear to me. Now that they're
Amy,
moving it, what's
Amy,
the
the question, are you tearing it down and rebuilding or what?
We are pretty much. There's going to be a little bit of salvage, but not much. And we will move it over to make that 6 feet, or 5 feet. But yeah, it is beyond. I mean, it is black inside. We're not really going to be able to salvage much, but yeah, it's a pretty much a rebuild.
Well, I get, to my mind, the parking and some of these issues is due to the existing constraints, but if they're rebuilding the house, that somewhat changes things. So I need more justification for the parking and the configuration before I can support it.
Okay. Is that it? Robert, please.
It's a very constrained lot, and tandem parking is not really to my liking, but boy, I don't know. I don't know how else this would work, and it's basically pretty close to what was there. So, soon, if the modifications are approved, then I'm in support.
Okay. Bill, comments, please.
Yeah, I think the architecture is fine. I don't have any issue with that. And I think to Dave's point too, that, yeah, you got a whole new empty lot technically, and could you make it any better? But as Robert stated too, it's pretty narrow. There's not a lot of width. It's like a typical mesa lot, they're constrained. I would just want to make sure the setbacks are properly identified there, sides and front and back, and if you could stay out of those, I could probably approve a tandem parking like you show. If it's way out into the street there and you're parking close to the street and it's visible, then maybe not so much. So I just want to have you clarify that. I think the architecture is fine. I don't have an issue with that. And I don't think you're trying to overbuild the property because of, it's a tiny lot and you're at 90.9 FAR, whatever it is. So I think generally it's in the right direction, but let's just clarify the setbacks. Thanks.
Rob, comments, please.
Sure. Amy, what is the front setback? Maybe it was mentioned, but I missed it.
50 feet from the center line of the street and
Where-
20 feet.
Where's the 50-foot?
Have it shown.
I don't have the 50 foot from the center line, but if you go down, I have 61 feet to the center line of the road. So I'm at, we're not any closer than the next door house. I understand your setback, but we're at 61 feet from the center line. And if it's a 50 foot, we're going to be still 10. I will make sure that the setback is on there. I just know that we went through Willow. We got a letter of completeness, or a letter saying that, and that there was nothing said about the setbacks.
So where I was going with it is, if for some reason there's the ability to like sink the parking space and have a 90-degree guest parking in front where you don't see the parking, that would be what I'd look at if you're not in the setback. But I would support the tandem parking, but I think since there's so much of everything kind of being redone, things like getting rid of the front yard lawn and then creating a front pedestrian walkway and redoing that, either having a low wall and regrading it such that you could create kind of an inviting, welcoming kind of pedestrian link to the house. Those are all things I think that will, and I think those things will, if you have a landscape plan and a landscape architect, I think those things will kind of go hand in hand and will all be resolved and improve the project, and then I could support it.
Can I say something to that? May I say something to that?
Sure.
So I guess what I'm saying is one of the gentlemen said that they wouldn't support it because they probably wouldn't support it. But if you took a 20 by 20 garage and you've had that facing the street, and then you have 10 feet, minimum of 10 feet of side yard setbacks, so that's 30 feet, and then you would have 20 feet that's over half the lot. You would have a 2-car garage and 2 side yard setbacks. So what you're going to get left of the house is going to be so minimum. Again, we are so constrained by this 50 feet that if we could do a 2-car garage and make it look great, make it look amazing, I think, I just think that you're asking a lot for a
Nobody's
site
asked for a
that's this
2-car
size.
garage. Nobody's asked for a 2-car garage.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying for two covered parking spaces.
My concern wasn't, my concern is the car getting pushed to the street and in the front yard setback. You could do a tandem 2-car garage also. I just think you need to show us more information on all the parking, make sure the setbacks are working.
Okay, that's fine.
So Rob, are you also done?
Yeah, no, that was, that,
Stacy, comments, please.
I like the architecture. I can support the architecture style, massing. I think it's definitely cohesive with the neighborhood. But with other members of the board, you need to show the setbacks. It's very important. Because I think there's the possibility to do a 2-car garage possibly behind the house. If you move the house 10 feet forward, but we can't really assess it without the setbacks placed on the plans. I just think that there's, that coming back with setbacks, we could then then you could, maybe we could support the modification, not support the modification, but we need more information. And then I'm concerned about screening on the east side with that neighbor, because you will lose all of that landscape for this construction. That I think you need to come back with a comprehensive landscape plan to address the visuals and privacy.
Okay.
Chip, comments, please.
I can support it, the way it's designed.
That it?
Yep.
Amy, I think that we are dealing with half a deck of cards here. I think that what you need, I live over in this area, and I am somewhat familiar with Dawlish. I think that what you need to do is to get some kind of a map, maybe off the GIS system the county has, or Google Maps or one of the other maps programs, and show the width of the properties and the number of parking places that those projects have. And maybe you could go out to the assessor and find out how big the primary residence is. And that should then clarify sort of the context of the street, which we don't have.
Right. That makes sense.
And if there's one thing that we're supposed to do, it's neighborhood compatibility. So I think the proposed residence, single story, modest plate heights, modest roof pitch, I mean, that's a no-brainer, but, and nicely done, nicely articulated. But I think that we need to get all of that other information, and you may want to wrap around and go up Chellam, up to Paso Robles, and if you don't think that there's enough cases on Dawlish. But I think this is probably going to get approved, but I think that in order to help us and the planning commission, you need to provide all of the context. And given that, can we go out to Google Earth right now just so that we kind of get a preview of this?
And to your comment, there was another property just down the street from this one, and they asked for a tandem parking and a modification. And actually, Willow was the one that helped them get that. So we will definitely bring that up at the.
Yeah, by all means, have all of that information if you can.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and I don't think I have anything more. It looks like they already have tandem parking. Anybody else? We're on for concept, so thank you, Amy. We'll see you in a little bit. As it turns out, Paul, I have a conflict with this project that showed up last Saturday.
Mr. Chair, could I ask, are they returning for further conceptual item 2?
Well, they're not going to get any approval from us before the planning
Oh,
commission,
that's
right?
correct. Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Kimberly, though, is it still the process for modifications that the MBAR has to grant preliminary approval first?
Yes, actually, I apologize. You're right, David. They do need to get preliminary approval from the MBAR for the findings of the ordinance so that they can go on to the planning commission.
And put it on for, well, put it on for preliminary. We don't have to give it to them, but assuming everything is here.
Kimberly, can you explain that, please?
I believe the findings for modifications require the BAR to make a finding and grant preliminary so that the planning commission can take action on the modification as well.
Ask Willow. Let's put it on for preliminary anyway. I think it's all about site design, right? Has nothing to do with the building.
So, yeah.
Anything else? Thank you. Okay,
All right, thank
Bill,
you so much.
I'm going to recuse myself.
All right, let's continue on to item 3830 Rockbridge Road. Go ahead, give
All
us
right.
your name and
Paul Robeson with Appleton Partners. This is a new residential project that's replacing a structure that was lost during the debris flow. We have actually spent extensive studies on the biological aspects of the project, and we have developed a new scheme that is more or less in the same area that the original development was. It's a single-family residence with an attached garage. We are developing a new path for the private driveway that serves this house and the 4 other residences beyond. This is taking certain guidelines that recommended moving the drive closer to the creek side to act as a buffer for the placement of the house on the property. We've actually oriented the house to look out on the existing oaks, and we've actually done extensive studies of the oaks on the property to make sure that we can keep those oaks and also protect and enhance the biology of the property. So the old drive, which is located towards the top of the sheet, will be abandoned, and we are proposing a new gate. We did submit a conceptual drawing of what that gate would look like as part of our exhibits. That'd be as you're entering into the property. And then if we'd like to move through the rest of the set, I can take you through the design we proposed. So this shows a closer view of the placement of the house we're creating a courtyard that brings you into the garage towards the bottom right corner of the plan. And then the house itself is an L shape. It's 1 story with a mechanical basement. And if we want to move through to the next page, we have the basement plan and the roof plan. Most of the design is a Mediterranean colonial, and then we do have a dining kitchen portion of the project, which is intended to be kind of a feature of the house. The clients do like to entertain, so they wanted a grand space for those kind of gatherings. So on that element, we do have a raised roof with a standing seam copper roof. If we want to move to the elevations, this will give you an idea of the layout. The upper left-hand corner is as you come into that initial motor court. We have a living room space with a clear story, and then beyond to the right is that taller, it's more of a conservatory kind of structure with the standing seam metal roof. And we have steel and glass windows that wrap the perimeter of that building. And then we are using integral plaster, colored plaster for the walls. And then we do have a chimney that is also extending out of that dining room area on the backyard side of the house. We also have a series of building sections to show kind of the spaces on the interior. And then in addition to that, we do have a civil engineer's drawing where we've studied the grading to make sure that we're not impacting the trees and that we've raised the grade at the house as needed for managing the surface water on the site. And you can see that we also have the riparian buffers identified in blue along the right side of the drawing. And then we also provided, just for reference, a biological study of the original house as it compares to the new footprint we're providing.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the study either.
That's all right. If need be, I do have a
Yeah.
printout of that one. So if anyone
Sure.
has questions on how it compares to the original house, I do have some drawings here.
Does that conclude your presentation?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Said, does that conclude your
It
presentation?
does, yep.
Okay, great,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Let's go to questions of the board. Tip, any questions?
Yes, can you go back to the site plan?
Mhm. Go one more back and that'll have the overall site. Thank you.
Okay, so can you explain, I'm not too clear about currently, where was the driveway?
So currently the driveway is along the top of the.
You pointed up,
Maybe go up to the screen there.
Yes,
We
happy
can
to.
give you a microphone too.
All right. So the original drive is here. And they
and
actually came
is
in.
that serving one parcel or two parcels?
This is one parcel.
No, I mean, the current driveway only serving one parcel.
No, the current driveway serves actually 4 properties.
Can you show us where the other three?
There is one here, here, and here.
What about the other to the left?
You're talking about?
You
this
mean
one
all the
here?
way, to the left?
Yep, that one, the gate for that one is right here.
What about to the other side? Keep going to the other side,
This side?
the left.
Oh, I'm sorry, this?
Yep.
That's Rockbridge Road. So that goes all the way, that's your main street through the neighborhood.
Okay, so it's serving 1, 2. So that means you will retain that driveway.
So the new driveway that goes
Right.
here is still going to serve the same original 4 residences.
But you are keeping the original,
We are going to abandon that one. We're going to plant it out.
or you are
This
abandoning.
will take the place of that. This is actually a wider, so it meets fire department requirements for the width. And there's less impact to the neighboring properties by doing this, but also in our study with the biologist, this actually creates a buffer to the creek so that any site development does not creep.
How wide is the new driveway?
See, the new driveway, I believe this is called out as,
I think
let's
it's
see.
20 feet, I think I read.
I think, yeah, so that it does allow for two-way traffic and we do have the turnout that the fire department requires.
So it's something because it seems like it's double the width of the existing driveway.
It's not quite double, but the original driveway was a little bit on the narrow side and it didn't allow for easy egress and ingress at the same time, which was a concern.
And is there a reason why it had to go all the way to the other side?
To go this route?
Yeah, because it seemed like you have 2 ways, right? Coming in, coming out. You can come in the street loop around, so it can come in on the right or come in on the left. So my question is there a reason why it continue all the way to?
Well, so the main road is coming through here and continues through the neighborhood this way.
Okay,
This goes away. The only way to get to these houses will be the new driveway, I'm sorry, the new private drive that's going to replace the old one.
and then, and then, and then does it have to go all the way to the right?
It's going to connect to these properties over here.
So, okay, so how do the neighbors get to the house? Do they have to go through the whole driveway to get to it?
Yeah, so the neighbors will continue to go, they'll go this way to get to their homes instead of through there.
And you said there are four?
Correct.
So that's one, right? Yours is one, and where's the other three again?
So there's 1, 2, and 3.
The one on the left, you said, where is it?
And then one's up and to the right and one's just beyond.
Okay, it's very confusing for me, how, anyway,
We could look at the Google Earth if that would help, maybe, if it's not.
Yeah, it's-
overgrown, maybe. It'd be a little overgrown to be able to see much, but see what it looks like.
So this is the original drive through here. So it's, the first gate is, well, there used to be a gate here that served 8:30. So we have reworked this. There's a gate right here, and then there's 2 gates in the tree canopies right here.
okay, so, all right, and what's your FAR?
What's that?
FAR,
FAR.
Oh, the FAR is 74%.
okay, and can you go through the elevation, please?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess it's a little difficult for me to try to understand the elevations a little bit because it seemed to be very heavy on one side and very light on the other side. It seems like maybe you can explain the concept a little. It seems like the 90% of all the windows and the doors in the big room, and then the house is almost like it's a detached, the 2 separate designs.
Well, they wanted to make their dining kitchen area a feature of the house. So this is actually, we have on the site plan, you'll see we have a hedge that runs along the new private drive and is going to come around to the garage here. So this is the motor court. So there's going to be an opening in the hedge as you come into here. And then they wanted to make sure that this was a statement here. So as you move away from the hedge, we are stepping up in volume.
And do you have any design inspirational images of the style of the house?
Yeah, actually, we have an image that we got from our client. Now, this is something that we use for inspiration, but we have adapted it to fit this house where we took in the plaster instead of the stone. But they wanted the steel and glass to look like that. We've also adjusted the proportions, but this is more of a conservatory that we are adapting to more of a residential domestic application.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Stacy, questions?
Yeah, what is the advantage of moving the driveway to the south as opposed to just widening the existing driveway to the residences to the north?
Well, in our study with the biologists, they actually liked the ability to use that driveway as a natural buffer to the creek. And considering the history and what's currently on the property, our clients liked that approach.
Well, that's just, okay. But what about the other neighbors? Did you discuss potentially just widening the
our-
existing driveway
Yeah,
to?
our client has been in touch with the neighbors and has been talking to them about the, right now, we've got some drawings that are very kind of technical studies. So what we're working on right now is developing the landscape design and the materials and the finishes of the site, including how that drive is going to look, once we've planted it out, once we've addressed the materials. And they did have some comments about, the grading and the trees, and I think they've been very receptive in their conversations with our client. So our client is continuing to keep them in the loop as we develop the design.
Are you removing trees to put a road here?
We are not actually. If you, this is the one that I thought we had in there, but so the original house was oriented this way, and the gate was coming in through here.
Paul, is this the drawing?
No.
No, it's very similar, but what we did is, when we were working with our biologist, we did an overlay of the original footprint. So you can see like the garage was here and you can see the footprint of the house. So we've taken a very similar scale to it, but we've reoriented it and we're looking at, the natural flow of water, on the site to make sure that we rectify the issues that, occurred during the debris flow.
Maybe next time you can share that with us and
Sure.
your inspiration.
Yeah,
Public can see that.
I'd be happy to include in our exhibits. Yep.
Yeah.
What is the current width of Rock Bridge Road? Because as it's depicted, it seems actually rather narrow, and to have a 20-foot driveway coming off of an extremely narrow road doesn't seem to have any advantage or any kind of egress or an emergency or cars passing if they're just going from a 20-foot road down to a 16-foot.
Yeah,
What is
so
the
The Rock Bridge
is
Road
that?
varies in width along the
Mhm.
entire length of it. So actually, there's a barn that's over here. So as it gets past the barn, it actually kind of opens up a little bit wider. And so this, my understanding is from coordination of our civil engineer, biologist, fire department, they are looking at, should there ever be a need to get people in and out, making sure that it's adequately sized for that. So, I mean, I'd be happy to continue to study that with them.
And who, I mean, okay, I think those are my questions for now. Like, we'll move on and then I'll have comments.
Rob,
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I guess and I'm hearing it from the other board members, it's instinctually, if I was the client living in that house, I was thinking that I might be getting the raw deal on it, that, that I'm, giving up a lot to suddenly have this driveway with all the neighbors driving through my yard that wasn't there before, when they basically like brushed alongside of it and there was much more limited access to it. So now, you kind of surrounded that one house that you're working on with the main road for everybody to drive by. It seems like,
Question in there, Rob?
yeah, yeah, thank you. Sorry. Well, I guess that's my question. I'm trying to like just understand, is there an advantage? I mean, biology's driving it. So I guess I'm just wondering in terms of, the advantage of moving that road from just owning that property for just some of the things I started to allude to.
We've actually done several different studies on this property since the debris flow and various different schemes. And I mean, the client has been involved in every step of the discussion. This is the one that they actually referred for, the various different options that we presented. I mean, we did have some earlier ones where it was looking at the impact of expanding the original road. And the impact that it does to not just this property, but adjacent properties, and also the effects to some of the oak trees, which are very prominent features of this neighborhood. So at the end of the day, our client actually liked this.
Okay. So I mean, it does seem like you've got some oaks you're showing that are highly impacted. I'm not convinced that they would work. They're so close to the road. I did see in one of the documents that, so down on the lower right-hand side, that, that you're in the creek setback, or what was that aspect of that was suddenly that the biologist thought was a better solution, because now you're creating development in the creek setback that wasn't there before. So I'm trying to understand that thinking or logic.
Well, I mean, it's the difference between something that is, a drive surface versus something that could be, occupied, whether it's, they were concerned about expanding terraces or creating lawn features where people would be out there. So
Does the road have, is the road suddenly up higher where it acts kind of almost as a barrier from the creek and deflects water
there have
below?
yeah, there are some areas where we've adjusted the grade to navigate the water flow towards the creek.
And then what is that little tributary up on the upper part of the property with a little blue line? Is that a
That was a
creek of some sort, or is that just a
actually,
drainage
that
way, or
was
what
just
is
a
that?
study of one of the natural ridges in the site. So I think the blue line was a remnant of a study that we were looking at on just the natural contours.
Okay, well, those are my questions for now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Robert, questions?
I have several. I'm first of all disoriented. Is this Riven Rock?
Yes, that's correct.
Is the floor elevation determined by flood control?
Is the which aspect?
The
Elevation of your
finished
floor.
floor.
Oh, yes, the grading you see at the house was dictated by flood control. So we
that
raised,
explains all the fill.
yeah, it is about 3 feet on average that we had to raise that part of the site. But as you can see, we were trying to minimize the impact to the oak grove beyond that.
Yeah, which I think leads to my final question. I know oaks are sacred, but I wouldn't want to be in that house. And have you considered sacrificing an oak or two to move that footprint away from that new road if you're not willing to make the existing road wider and bigger? I mean, it just, there's something about the proximity of the new road to the house that I'm wondering if you could make it more, I mean, that's just, it's very close. And I'm wondering, have you considered other site planning options that even if you had to remove an oak or two and plant a few new ones, could you move that footprint?
I mean, that's something we'd be happy to study with our client as we look at, the trees in that area and, see if there is any that we would make an adjustment to as we study the footprint and the placing of it. We can make that study.
No more questions.
Okay.
David, questions?
Are you consulting with an arborist on proximity of the new driveway to those trees?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
And do you have they provided support or?
We don't have the report finalized yet, but it's in the works. Yep.
And the curved element that's on between the house and the new drive, is that a wall?
So between the drive, on which side?
As you go up the driveway on the left-hand side between the house and the driveway, there's it looked like on another sheet, it might be a wall. Here, it looks almost like a hedge.
There
Whatever
is
that
a hedge that does run along the edge of the road.
But there's no wall?
Not on this side, no.
That's it.
You mentioned you don't have an arborist yet? Have you looked is those two oaks that you're surrounding with the retaining?
Yeah, our engineer has been working with an arborist, and as our next stage of development, we're going to be working a little bit closer with him to refine the plan.
And then can we go to the elevations there real quick, Dave? What are the heights of those plates, the different plates?
Most of the roofs are at about 15 to 16 feet to the ridge. And then the dining kitchen roof is 25 feet.
So the
To the
big
ridge.
tall is 25 to the ridge with a
Correct.
16-foot
Yep.
plate. Okay. And what is the purpose of the clear story? Is that just light into some?
So that is actually facing north, and they wanted to bring in more natural northern light into that space.
And it's a mission tile roof, you said, with the standing seam, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Combo there, okay.
Yep.
Okay, that was all the questions well, last question. What would you consider this style to be? If it had a style, would you say it?
Well, I mean, it still is primarily a Spanish colonial home, but there is this conservatory feature that we are adapting to basically a Mediterranean palette.
Okay,
Mr. Vice Chair,
yes, Robert.
I forgot one thing. I was curious, why does the conservatory need such a steep roof? And I agree with Tip in that it looks like two different buildings. I mean, I sort of get it, but
Something in comments if you want to wait for that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a space where they were planning on spending a lot of their time and they wanted it to be accentuated. So based on some of the imagery that we were looking at with them, that was a style of roof that they thought lent itself to this feature space on that part of the house.
Okay. So let's close questions and go to see if there's any public comment on this. I know there was a letter too we had.
Right, so we don't have any speakers online.
Okay.
But we do have a couple of letters, I believe.
Letters. I don't know if they were both from the same person. Dear case planner, we're property owners of 848 Rockbridge Road, which property is adjacent to the northerly of the subject property 830. First, it is our understanding the property owners of 830 have submitted a land use permit application to planning for a new single-family dwelling, attached garage, new paved driveway access, and related grading and infrastructure. We're generally in support of such development as it replaces single-family dwelling and related improvements that were destroyed in the debris flow. Second, we understand the LUP application for 830 proposes to construct a 20-foot wide paved, there's our 20-foot wide paved driveway access within the proposed 24-foot wide easement over the southerly, easterly, and northerly portions of 830 Rock Ridge Road property along an existing unpaved driveway route to serve as an alternative access to 830, 848, 850, and 854 Rockbridge Road properties. It is our understanding that the new 20-foot wide paved access will replace existing 11 to 17-foot wide paved driveway to these properties that currently runs northerly from Rockbridge along the common property lines between 830, 848, 854 Rockbridge, and terminates at the southerly property of 850 Rockbridge. This existing driveway is within the 20-foot wide easement granted for the benefits of the properties by an easement deed recorded. Santa Barbara County, we will reasonably cooperate with the various property owners to potentially extinguish, replace, remove our existing access easement rights if we decide in our sole and absolute discretion to do so, pursuant to and be prepared and negotiate new grant and/or quitclaim of easement documents, but will at a minimum retain easement rights for existing utilities located therein. Furthermore, we strongly support this alternative access route as it provides a wider paved access for emergency and fire suppression access to our property and conforms to the current Montecito Fire District access standards. While the current paved access is woefully inadequate for emergency and fire suppression services. This time, we support this project with the understanding that it needs to meet all necessary regulations and standards, including fire access and utility requirements. However, at any point during the approval, should we consider our position, or if the project deviates from these standards, we reserve the right to unilaterally revoke our support and sole of that absolute discretion. Notwithstanding the foregoing, we and our potential successors in interest, if any, retain any and all rights and remedies to revoke support of the project and/or object to the project at any time for any reason. Such as a waiver of the right to object to a project during the approval process is unenforceable. Thank you. Coffin Family Trust, Matt Coffin, trustee. Okay. All right. This is from, we're in Northern Pride 850, which is this the same letter? Yeah. Yeah. James Matthew. So similar. I don't think I need to read through that one. It looks like they're in support. It's the same person, so. Okay, so was that all the public comment? David, nobody else online?
Correct, no additional requests.
Okay, all right. So let's go to the board's comments. Tip, what do you think of this proposal?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm very confused about why you're trying to move the driveway and literally run right through the site and take away all the open spaces and following the recommendation of the biologist, or however you stated it. So at this point, I just can't clearly see the logic of doing it. And we need much more information. For example,
Maybe a
I
site
can't
visit?
tell, maybe a good site plan that shows all the vicinity, neighbor to see where the road, which house is being served. And maybe that will give us a better idea on why you decide to do what you're doing. But at this point, I definitely cannot support it just a way based on my understanding of what you're trying to do. And I just think that this is it's just a little messy. And I'm not sure why would anyone want to live with a new 20-foot road drive right through the property like that. So anyway, that's one of the big issues I have. And I'd like to probably receive more information before we can make any more comments on that of the proposed solution. Secondly, we need some better ideas on the style for the house, the design inspirational. If you can do some study on that. At this point, it just seems like it's I just can't tell what it is. You have a humongous room with a lot of doors and windows and tall roof and stiff pitches, and then you have the majority of the house where it's literally any doors and windows, and it just seemed like I just don't have enough information to really understand the design as submitted. So if you can focus more on the conceptual side of the presentation, and with that, a great landscape plan would be very helpful on how everything go together. And we might want to do a site visit because of there might be a logic why you're doing it. So maybe a site visit might be helpful if other board members feel the same way. Thank you.
Stacy, comments?
Yeah, I agree with all of Tip's comments, especially about the driveway and encroaching into the riparian habitat. I feel like you're taking away the greatest natural asset to the property as it exists, and I'm skeptical of a biologist's report that states putting a driveway between a house and a creek would be beneficial. I look forward to reading that. And I also agree with Tip about the architecture as well. It seems to be two different styles and two different massings. And also to the placement of the architecture on the site. It seems to be working oppositionally with some of the topography as opposed to if it was altered back to the original, I think, plan that it had previously had a better site setting with the topography. It increases the grading incredibly to take and rotate it in this direction. So I think you could alleviate some of the grading if you revisit the siting of the building as well. That's it.
Thank you, Stacy. Rob, comments?
I agree with everything Tip said. I agree with everything Stacy said. I mean, all those points were spot on. Yeah, I mean, I think and perhaps maybe the neighbors above are supporting it because that's a windfall for them in my mind. Like they're, suddenly they lose the driveway that, kind of brushes against their property, and now it's brought completely on the other side at the expense of their neighbor. And so, yeah, I'm sure they're happy to support that. So I'm puzzled as to why you would go in this direction. I think there is a huge compromise on the creek and a compromise on that particular lot. And then furthermore, um, I mean, and we've had this conversation before. I think, kind of doing the grading and then developing this and then trying to get the arborists to support the grading that the civil did. This is, once again, we're a landscape architect, like doing a really good concept master plan and then letting the civil engineering and those kinds of supportive arborist reports based on a really strong fundamental, plan developed by a good landscape architect would help you in so many ways. I just look at the way that tree well is, if I'm taking what you've presented, then I look at that tree well and it's like, it's the grades, it's like very engineered looking. It's not at all natural and taking advantage of kind of the quality of the site. I just think there's so many compromises up here in the way the house is sited. Robert mentioned like, well, if you're going in this direction, then lose a few more oaks and push the house away from the road. All those are good points. And then have the grading be much more natural. But again, I really struggle. It's like, yeah, I'm bordering on not supporting this either because I think the compromises are too much in bringing that road down. And it just like begs the question of just why not widen that road? And I think you end up with a much better project for your client. So, and again, I strongly emphasize having a good master plan and let that drive the civil as opposed to the other way around where you just shrub up something that fundamentally has problems. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Comments?
Yeah, I can't support this. All that extra hardscape for that drive, the new drive, I like where the old drive is, and if it's really 17 feet, I mean, 3 feet more wouldn't be that hard. It's in a much better location, and I could be missing something. I've been looking at this for 10 minutes, and you've been working on it for months probably. So maybe we're missing something. I think a site visit is in order, frankly. And the architecture, I agree with Tip. It looks like it's just not cohesive or coordinated or something. So that needs a little bit of work too. But it's mainly the site and the driveway that is, I mean, God, look at all that pavement. I can't support that.
All right. David?
Yeah, I 100% agree with all the comments thus far, and I trying to figure out why this is so difficult. I think part of it's the presentation. You're not justifying the things you're asking for, and you're talking about things that aren't shown. A 3D model, like I like your image that for the architecture, but when I look at those elevations, none of that comes through at all. It's a difficult project, difficult site. We need more information because I can't support it based on the information you're giving. And I think there's more there. It just isn't being translated to us. And I think the architecture, it's an intriguing idea, but just from those elevations, it's really hard to visualize how that works. It's very eclectic. That clear story is one element, the pavilion's another, and then a very conventional single-story house. It's just hard to visualize, and that might just be because you haven't done renderings or haven't shade and shadow landscape. And if this whole thing pivots on the biologist, I think they should be here to explain exactly why that works, because I think intuitively to everybody on the board, when we look at this, it doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I just keep coming back. You need to provide more information so we can support the project. But at this point, I'm very uncomfortable with it.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I think what we're hearing from the board is that maybe a site visit would be helpful. You know, obviously, we're trying to help you through and make your case, you know, and I think that from what we see here, it's difficult to determine that. You know, I agree too that if I was a biologist, not, but if I was thinking as a biologist, I would say the road is not going to want to be next to the creek and the sensitive habitat that typically they don't let you do anything in there now or in the future. So even if you came back later and did development, it'd be not legal. So that being said, I too am kind of leaning more toward what it looks like. By widening the existing driveway, you'd eliminate a lot of the paving, as Robert pointed out too. It would be helpful to have the tree canopies shown on there, trees identified, canopies shown. We don't know what's going on there. The site, this is a very cryptic kind of a plan right here. So, you know, we're graphic people, colors, and, you know, give us a little help will be beneficial. Stacy's comment about the orientation and Rob's, I think, about the rotation of the property to fit the topography. Maybe there's something to be said there. You know, these are our thoughts and our comments. You can prove us wrong, you know, and a site visit might be the way to do it. And maybe that comes, and that might be something between you and your planner to decide, is that the first thing to happen? You know, if you're trying to fight this and want to make it the way it is, then that might be. If you want to retool this and jigger it a bit, come back and show us, then we're open for that too. So at this point, I think we're just going to further concept it, to continue it on to further concept at this point. And I guess, I don't know if, I think we agree that a site visit might be
Yeah, the site visit might
a
be,
great thing to have, no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah, might be helpful, you know, and I'm just trying to think about it, you know, for the life of me, you know, I'm not sure why you render a beautiful gate to the project, which is nice, but we have no idea what the project looks like.
Yeah.
You know, it should be probably out of way or somehow, you know, just, I'm not sure, maybe, yeah, I just kind of, it's maybe that you're heading the right direction, but, you know, we can't see anything else.
Yeah, and I think as well, many comments as well in the architectural style. We're a little confused about that. Is maybe it needs to be a little more cohesive. You've got sheds and you've got, like Dave pointed out, you've got this tall element, looks like a completely foreign body. So I think trying to tie those together will be important.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think that clear story, if you wanted to get light in there, there's a Spanish colonial architectural solution that would be far more appropriate than the clear story, which I think looks a little modern.
A dormer potentially or something to that effect. Yeah, sure. So those are our comments, and we'll wait to see you back here and I guess discuss with the planner how you want to approach the site visit.
Yep.
And we'll schedule it up and
All right.
be out there.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we're moving on to item 4. I don't know if John's here because I've got to step down on that one.
We finished that one already.
Oh, you did 4?
Yeah.
Oh, we're done. Oh, all right. Then we are done. So give me a motion, somebody, to adjourn.
Motion for adjournment of the meeting of June the 12th, 2025.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good job.